contradiction. That is the synthesis that Hashem actually wants of us. The high and the low at the same time. To elevate the low and to bring down the high. Or, in their more modern terms, bringing heaven down to earth and elevating earth up to heaven. And I would like to just conclude with the final paragraph here of this sikha. The Nimtza, it comes out, when is it a complete fire? When a person is kindling his neshama? When the soul really does want to be connected to Hashem. He Ali of the emes, and it actually wants to elevate, wants to go up high. But that only can be completed. The real high can only be completed when it's down. Sadach la'efer for the ash. And look at number 27. Footnote number 27, the final footnote here. Nevertheless, says the Rebbe, Gam im mavid eish nishmose, even if a person kindles his soul and he doesn't have in mind the ash. He become warm, or to be an illumination. Have a melacha, even that is still considered a melacha and won't be transgressing on Shabbos. Although one does not feel in the high, one doesn't feel the back down in this world, it's lacking. Nonetheless, since there is a warmth and a light of Kedusha within him, there is something here. This is considered a malacha. The Yesh Leima, says the Rebbe, one can therefore suggest, when you use the term illumination, nirmas gam, this is also alluded, that when a person kindles the fire, not just that he should have this illumination, but also to illuminate the entire world. And therefore, one does have in mind the world as well. So, to conclude, the Rebbe says that the idea of fire is a love to Hashem, a wish to cling to Hashem, to get closer to God. That is the ultimate high of the neshama. At the same time, one does not complete that avodah, one does not complete that malacha, that service to Hashem, unless one has in mind the necessity of the ash, the lowest element, because ultimately we're in this world to illuminate and to elevate even the lowest elements of the world and to take it on back up high with us. So that's the sikha. Now, I would like to share with you the following about this sikha. We began by saying that this is the final sikha that came out from the Rebbe for the Shabbos Vayakel, which was 2 days before Chof Zayin Adar. First of all, this talk from where this sikha was written was delivered by the Rebbe, and it says right here in the text, Mesicha Shabbos Yisroi Tavshin Mem Tes. The sikha of Shabbos Parshas Yisroi Tavshin Mem Tes. The date of that Shabbos was Chof Beis Shvat, the first yahrzeit of the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said this sikha for I'm sorry? Of the Rebbe. Who did I say? What is it? I said the Rebbe. The Rebbe's in Chayim Moshe. The Rebbe's Rebbe. Chof Beis Shvat Tavshin Mem Tes was the first yahrzeit. The Rebbe began the Farbrengen almost immediately with this Rambam. He spent 1 hour talking about the Rambam and its message. And when the Rebbe completed, they talked about the Aseret Dibros, was that parasha about godliness coming down to earth. When the Rebbe completed that, the Rebbe said as follows. There was a fire that consumed the neshama of the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said there was a Gevena fire. That's what the Rebbe said. And you cannot say that this fire came to this world just to elevate that neshama. Because then it's not a real thing. It's not a proper thing. There has to be an illumination, and furthermore, the aphor, the ash, has to turn over the world as a result of this. That was the point that the Rebbe was making, and the conclusion of this whole sikha. And wow, isn't that amazing that this is the last sikha that comes out before Gimmel Tammuz? What is even more amazing is, look, what the last footnote is what number? 27. In Hebrew, that is Chof Zayin Adar, was 2 days later of the stroke. And look at the last 3 words of this number 27, which was underlined. I discovered, I inquired about this. The Rebbe underlined these 3 words. He underlined them in his editing. The ha'ir es ha'olam, to illuminate the whole world. And so from here we can see that if you look into the Gimmel Tammuz element, the Gimmel Tammuz element is the kindling of the flame of the neshama of every single yid in this world. The purpose of Gimmel Tammuz is the elevation of every single yid, but in order that the entire world should be illuminated with the light of the Rebbe, with the light of Hashem, and Yitz Hashem, very speedily with the light of the Geula, may it be taken from the other.
We thank Rabbi Lu. We have the privilege, we have Rabbi Shachat with us. In 1976, Tafshin Lamed Zayin, year time in Lag Baimed, the Rebbe started, we should teach the Yud-based Psukim for everyone that children should know. And in it, it's very, very deep. And Rabbi Shachat is going to share with us what the concept of the Yud-based Psukim in the Mamor Chazal and Tanya is. Now here's, for everyone, pass it. Rabbi Shachat, it's our pleasure to have you. I also want to remind everyone that the city gives out everyone free tickets at 11 o'clock. If you have a car parked outside, it's 2-hour parking.
No, it's not. Yeah, someone moved it. Wasn't you.
The Rebbe taught the Yud-based Psukim. So he taught them 6 and 6. First 6, and then a little while later the second 6. Which is something in itself that has to be understood. Then the order of the Yud-based Psukim and Mamor Chazal doesn't seem to follow any special order. Just take it externally. And it's very obvious that if they ever asked that the children should learn these Yud-based Psukim and Mamor Chazal, that obviously they're very central to the whole concept of Yiddishkeit, Yiddishkeit, what it's all about. if you look at the base psukim and Moed Chazal, the first 6 are divided 2 psukim from Torah Shebitzav, 2 Moed Chazal from Torah Shebal Peh, and 2 quotations from Tanya. Ado Kikor Velecha Ado V'Moed V'Fichol Boftal HaSeisa, which is the 5th, is also a pasuk in Torah Shebitzav, but somehow the Rebbe put it in the quotations from Tanya for an obvious reason, because that is what the Alter Rebbe writes in the Sharblat, that is what the whole Tanya is all about. So basically, when you want to know the central points of Tanya, what Tanya is about, which is the Torah Shebitzav of Chassidus, Chassidus is about, so this pasuk, Kikor V'Lecha, expresses that.
I'm sorry. Okay? Thank you. Anyone you can come close.
A lot of empty seats here. So Torah Tziva is one of the last psukim in Chumash. Shema Yisrael is much earlier. Read this order, the first Torah Tziva and then Shema Yisrael, we already find in the Gemara Sukkah that Tinik Meshiyadeh Ledaber Or B'lam de Teiro B'Shema Teiro Mahi Torah Tziva Lonu Moshe Moshe Kidas Yaakov. That's the first thing that a father has to teach his child when he starts talking. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Over there in the Gemara, it's also in this order. First of all, Torah Tziva, and then Shema. Why Torah Tziva comes first? Is because as Jews, we have to know one thing. We don't know anything. We don't understand anything. We don't know anything. Our intellect is meaningless, and all we know is only what the Torah teaches us. Even such basic emunah like Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, is also only because that stems from the Torah. Like there's a whole system from the Rebbe that the Rambam, right away in the beginning of Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, where he brings the basic concepts of Emunah, that Reda Sheyesha Motzi Rishon, etc., and he goes into the basic concepts of Achdus Hashem, etc. So he says, Hu Masha Novi Omer. He brings psukim. The Rambam usually does not bring Mekayos. Why over here all at once? Hu Sha Novi Omer, Hu Sha Omer Apostle. Why does the Rambam over here quote sources in Torah for the basic concepts of Emunah? Because they tell you that even the basic concepts of Emunah are built only on one thing and one thing only, because that's what the Eibishter revealed to us in his Torah. But in Yiddishkeit, there is no self-knowledge. There is no self-understanding. Our whole understanding is only what the Torah teaches us and what the Torah illuminates for us. And the very basis of everything, Yesodis, Amud HaChochma, is only because that is what the Torah told us. So that's why the very first thing is that we have to know that there's a Torah. That the Eibishter gave to us, through which he revealed his wisdom and his will and the ways in which he wants us to go. What we have to believe and what we have to do. And besides the Torah, there is nothing else. Now, as far as the pasuk itself, it doesn't. There's an open sikha from the Rebbe in the first quarter of the Sichas. The content of Torah Tziva Lonu Moshe Merosh Kilas Yaakov is that, like the little translation, Torah Tziva Lonu Moshe. The Torah Moshe Rabbeinu commanded us or connected us to, and Merosh Kilas Yaakov is an inheritance for every Jew. In other words, when a Jew, the translation of that, the Rebbe elaborates over there. It says that when it says Torah Tziva Lonu Moshe, the Torah Moshe Rabbeinu connected us with, commanded us on. What is that talking about? It's not talking about a certain particular part of Torah. Because Kol Masha Talmid Vosik Osed Echadish Nitan Moshe Mesina. Anything, any part of Torah, Torah Shebitzav, Torah Shebal Peh, And even Teirasa Shal Mashiach, which will be taught La'asid Lovei, which it says that Teir Chadoshim Iti Teitze, because there will be a totally new revelation in the understanding of Teirah when Mashiach will come. Teir Chadoshim Iti Teitze, all that was already given to Moshe Sinai. And when it says that Teirah Tziva Lonu Moshe, that Teirah Moshe Rabbeinu connected us with, so we're not only talking about a particular pasuk, we're not only talking about a particular part, we're talking about the entire Torah that was given to Moshe Sinai. Even to Rosh Hashanah, that every single Jew, no matter who he is, it's a Meirosha Kilas Yaakov. It's an inheritance for every single Jew that belongs to the congregation of Yaakov, which that is every single Jew. That every single Jew, no matter who he has a connection to the entire Torah from the beginning all the way to Rosh Hashanah. That when you look at a bookshelf in the big library, that there's the Tanakh, and there's Gemara Bavli, Yerushalmi, Mechilta, Tosefta, Sifri, Sifro, all the Rishonim and all the Achayin, they've been iskabel, the Tfutzis Yisrael, that you're talking about tens and tens and tens of thousands of Sforim. You can't say, I have no connection with this. Otherwise, I should just learn some Chumash Rashi, or Chitas, or maybe a little bit of Rambam. And that's all I have to be connected with. I have a connection, and it's my inheritance, everything, the entire Torah. So a person will come along and say, how's that possible? I know how much I know. I know how much I can learn. I know I think I know what my abilities are. So he says that this is what we tell every child from the moment that he starts to speak. You want to know what part of Torah you're connected with? How much of the Torah can you sit and learn? Can you be connected with? It's Torah, Tziva, Lonu, Moshe. The Eibishter connected us with the entire Torah. And every single Yid, no matter who he is, has a connection with the entire Torah. And that's why it says in Hilchos Talmud Torah that every single Jew, every single child, the father is obligated to teach him. Every single child, he's obligated to teach him Torah Shebiksav and Torah Shebal Peh, Shas Bavli, Yerushalmi, Mechilta, Tosefta, Sifri, Sifro, and he doesn't fulfill his obligation of teaching his child Torah until he taught the entire Torah and he knows it. That's the obligation on every single father, every single Jewish father, regarding every single child. And sometimes it sounds like a mission impossible. It sounds too great. And the Alter Rebbe says that every single Jew, if his father didn't teach him, he's obligated to learn all that himself, to reveal what his neshama is connected with. So the Alter Rebbe has a formula in Hilchos Talmud Torah, and the formula that how you go about it. He says that when you learn something, you're not supposed to forget it, at least the conclusions of everything that you learn. And there's a lot of forgetting, and therefore whatever you learn you have to repeat until you know for sure and you won't forget it. And he says that not all people are capable of that, to repeat and go over until they won't forget, until they know. So there is, in the Alter Rebbe, different formulas for different people. A person that does have the capability has to do it all, and he doesn't fulfill his obligation until he did it all. And the person that doesn't seem to, the Eibishter didn't give him those capabilities, so he says at least he has to go once in his lifetime through the entire Torah. Shaz, Bavli, Yerushalmi, Mechilta, Sefta, Sifri, Sifro, Medrash Rabbah, Medrash Chuma, etc., etc. You have to learn it all. And there's no time to waste. That's a halacha in Hilchos Talmud Torah. And even though you forget, since that what you're forgetting is only b'oinus, not b'rotzen, etc., so the osid lovei, they'll remind you of all. But if somebody wants to know what his neshama is all about, and what his neshama is capable of, and what his neshama is obligated to do, the only way to know that is by learning Kol HaTorah Kula. So it sounds like, woo. And how can we tell such a great thing to a child that just started talking? Such a great obligation. It sounds like we are demanding too much. So the Rebbe says, no, just the opposite. the child with his tmimus, because he is so tmimistic, and because he doesn't just go with his seichel and he accepts what he's being told, so the child will accept it. And that's how you have to set up the first foundation of a Jewish child's life. That right away from when he's capable of talking, the child has to know right from the beginning, with what will I know what I'm all about? With what will I know and with what will I reveal what my mission is and what my purpose is and what my life is all about? Teira tziva lanu Moshe merosha kilas Yaakov. And the child with his tmimus will accept it. And when that is the first foundation in which you formulate the child, then the child will grow up with that. And that's the first thing that you have to give over to a child. That kol ha-Torah kula is mine, my Rosh Akilas Yaakov. And there's nothing holding me back from getting it. That's what every Jewish child has to know from the moment he starts talking. Afterwards comes the matters of emunah. And that the matters of emunah is that the very basis, Shema Yisrael, as a Yid, is Havaya Elokeinu. It's not that we only believe in God because of the obvious thing, because when you see a suit, you know there's a tailor. When you see a house, you know there's a contractor and a builder. When you see a world, you know there is somebody that created. That is something that L'havdil of Havdalah is obligated. That's simple logic. That's simple 2 and 2. Of course, you have Chiyur Chof, she's against logic also. Vayid, the basis of Emunah is Havaya Elokeinu. That, like it says in Shulchan Aruch, when you say the Shem Elokim is B'Gemati HaTeva. That's the obvious, that there is something here, there's something alive, there's something that's giving its life, there's something that's running all this whole world and all its functions, etc. And that L'havdil even a goy is able to understand and able to know and does know if he only wants to know. Be'as Yid Nishma Yisrael Havaya Elokeinu. What is our teva? What we are connected with is not only Shem Elokim, but Havaya Elokeinu. Havaya, which is Haya Hava V'Yir. We are connected with beyond nature. We're connected with beyond limitation. We're connecting with Shem Havaya, which is Haya Hava V'Yir Ke'echad. How he's above time and above limitations, and above space, and there's nothing to limit a Jew from being that Jew, no matter how many limitations seem to surround him. That is the koyach. And it goes further, which Havaya is Elokeinu, the Havaya Echad. Where there's total achdus and ein oid milvadeh. That basically he is the only real existence. He's the only real existence. The only real being. It's Echad. Aleph, Zayin, Rekinu, V'Aretz, V'Dal, Ruchas Ha'elam. And again over here you'll ask, how does a child who just started to speak, how can you tell him such lofty concepts? So the Rebbe says, Adrab. The problem is later our seichel seems to mix in, and our seichel seems to have all kinds of questions and logical questions, and the limitations of life and the challenges of life seem to hinder us from being able to accept the basic, pure emunah the way it is and the way the Eibusher gave it over to him. A child that he does not yet have, and he is with his full purity, with his full tmimus, you tell him this, you educate him with this, so he'll accept it with full acceptance. And this is the foundation of how every child has to grow up. And that is how you're supposed to raise a Jewish child. If you want him to be that real chayil, and the chayil, the tzivos Hashem, so you have to know, not with narishkeit, and not with what the modern educators and philosophers and psychologists will tell you, and don't try to put too much upon him. A Jewish child, the very first things that he has to know, the very basis of his approach, is Teira Tziva Lonu Moshe Merosha Kilas Yaakov. As a Yid, as a part of the congregation of Yaakov, I'm connected with the entire Torah. There's no part of Torah that I'm not connected with. And I'm connected with the highest levels of godliness. And that is what's Elokein, that's Koichi V'Chiyusi. That's what gives me the strength, and that's what gives me the chayis. And that's what can lead my life, if I only let it. Of course, this is free choice. But now over here comes a big question, and especially at our generation, where Rahman Litzlan, the majority of the Jewish people, still Rahman Litzlan, the Rebbe gave us a charge to try to change it, but that's still the situation. The very majority of Jewish children are born in homes where they don't know this Pasuk Teira Tziva, they don't know the Pasuk Shema Yisrael. Or if they say it, they don't know its meaning. And a lot of people just grow up, and even in so-called religious homes and Orthodox homes, that somehow they were missing this point that right away, Mashiach Ledaber, instead of starting to teach him nice words and funny words, you have to drill into him Torah Tziva and Shema Yisrael. So comes a person, he's a little bit older, or the child is a little bit older, and you tell him the very first fundamental concept that you have to live with is Torah Tziva Shema Yisrael. So the child screams, "What are you talking about? I'm already 8 years old or 10 years old, in Polish when I'm a child of 70 years old, or 72 years old, or whatever it is, and I grew up with a totally different background. And my foundation is not Torah Tziva and Shema Yisrael. I have a totally different foundation. I have a foundation which is called Mitzrayim, limitations. I have a foundation which is called, they stuffed me with secular studies. They stuffed me with, I have to know about Jack and Jill, and all the other Narishkeiten, etc. And they stuffed me with all kinds of exciting books, so to say, to keep me excited, to keep me entertained, so I shouldn't have a temper tantrum. So maybe it's too late. I'm filled with the Memtes Sharitum of Mitzrayim. That's what I seem to have been raised to. Is it possible for me to relate really to this concept of Torah Tziva and Shema Yisrael the way it is in all its purity? That's a question that's right away that has, or an excuse that the person will say, me not, this generation is different. So the next thing that you have to know is the Jewish people themselves were also formed. There was Taken Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. There were the Yud Beis Shiftei Kol. But afterwards, it still was not a Jewish nation. The Jewish nation happened at Sinai. The Torah Tziva Lo Moshe happened at Sinai. The Shema Yisrael, the revelation of godliness and the way it is in its total perfection, it happened at Sinai. That's when the Sam ain't lost his love. Until that point, the Jewish people that grew up, the first generation of the Jews as a nation, was Mitzrayim. Memtes Sharitum, all the limitations possible. With all the worldly concepts possible. But there was the Yetzias Mitzrayim. And the Eibusher took us out of those limitations. And that in itself had a purpose in itself, so we should be able to make a dir b'tachtei, as you just learned in that. That we should take these highest spiritual and godly concepts and apply it to this world. So our connection over there was against our will. It was a gzeir that was nigzer already in the days of Avram Avinu. And today also, most of the people, their connection with Mitzrayim, their connection with these limitations is not something that necessarily in the beginning they chose. Maybe later it had to do with their choice, because that's the way they were raised. But in the beginning, they're Tanaikish and Yishuv. This is the way, that's where they grew up. They didn't know any better. Or their parents didn't know any better in educating them. And they didn't know the fundamentals of what the Torah itself said, of how a Jewish child has to be raised and how he has to be educated and what his foundation has to be. So therefore he says, maybe today, so it's impossible. We already are blemished, so to say. So he said, in every single generation, no matter what it is, don't think that you're not connected with these fundamental concepts, Torah, Tzivah, and Shema Yisrael. Because whatever Mitzrayim I'm in, the Eibusher takes me out, if I only let him. Because even in Mitzrayim, so those people that didn't want to go out, stayed. And in a certain, even though L'Osid Lovay, every Jew has to come to the Gula Shleima, but that's L'Osid Lovay. In the meantime, I still have my B'chira Chavshis. I can say, I want to stay in Mitzrayim. I have the free choice. I don't want to go out. So we have to chayev Adam, and chayev means this is the obligation, the basis. You want to be a Yid, don't just try to satisfy yourself with some things that will satisfy your conscience. I'll put on my tefillin, I'll learn my chitas, I'll have my shir Rambam, but the rest of the day, there's no difference between me and lahavdil the goy. A Yid is Torah Tziva Lonu Moshe and Shema Yisrael Havaya Lekeinu. The limitations of the world have nothing to do with us. We are connected with the limitations of the world, so we should try to transform them. This is not the way I was raised. This is not who I am. This is not what I know. This is not what I feel. That's why B'chol David there, and then Tanya he adds B'chol Yom Yom. As the Rebbe explains that this is not an addition, because that's the real content of B'chol David there. B'chol David there just means no matter what kind of Helam, Behester you're living in, what kind of darkness you're surrounded with, it doesn't make a difference. Just like there is a concept that the Eibusher created everything, there's a concept that the Eibusher takes you out of Mitzrayim. That by Yid there is no limitation, no matter what his past is. No matter which way he was raised. And at every single point of his life, if he only chooses, he can start with the Torah Tziva and with the Shema Yisrael, the way that pure child that never knew different can start with. Because that's what Yetzias Mitzrayim is about. That you're taking out all these limitations. So, somebody's going to come along and say, okay, that's fine and good. For somebody that has a special neshama, somebody that has special wills, he has a certain amount of refinement, and he's told me, etc., etc. But I know myself. And I know that that's not what I like. I enjoy other things. The steak and the ice cream speak to me much better than any of that stuff. And I just don't get excited. You're telling me this, you're saying that that's the way it is, but I'm not moved. And since I'm not moved, so maybe he's not really talking to me. So we let him know, no matter how you want to define yourself, no matter which way you want to put yourself down, you should know that that is only a Yetzer Hara speaking to hold yourself back. Because every single Jew is connected. Why? Because Kol Yisrael Yesh Lehem Chelek L'Olam Haba. There's not one Jew alive that doesn't have this neshama which will connect him with Olam Haba, with the ultimate levels of total unity with the Eibusher. Right? Shneimar v'amich kulam tzaddikim, l'olam Yeshua. No matter what your past might have been, no matter who you are, no matter what you try to tell yourself, no matter how much you try to excuse yourself, no matter how much you try to exclude yourself, that is going against the fact of where the Eibusher said it. Every single person has that tzaddik. Every single Yid, he can't run away. And like it says in the Alter Rebbe in Hilchos Talmud Torah also, that if you try to run away, you should know you're only making it harder for yourself. The whole sikha from the Rebbe about it. Because eventually, what the Eibusher wants from every Yid is going to happen. So, could be you'll have to come through another Gilgul, being a Gilgul Zeh, being a Gilgul Acher, and the Rebbe writes that nowadays there is no other Gilgulim, so the Eibusher is going to find other ways, but you're going to get there. L'olam Yeshua. Amech kulam tzaddikim. L'olam, no matter what you're going to inherit, and you're going to be part of it. No matter how much you try to run away from it. And not only that, but nature matoi ma'asiyot lispur. No matter how much you try to put yourself down, no matter how much the Yetzer Hara tries to give you every single reason, this can't be talking to me. The Eibishter himself testifies, I created every single Jew so I can, like the Rebbe once said, a whole sicha, Amzu Yitzayta Liti Lothi Yisapeyu, that the Eibishter I created every single Jew because every single Jew is, with his life, with his behavior, is supposed to speak my praises. Maise Yoda Lispor, I created so I can hold him in my hand, Kabiyochu, and be able to show him off to all the Malachim and all the other created matters in the highest levels. Look what I created. And with every single Yid, the Eibishter wants to brag. And you're not going to be able to run away from that because the Eibishter, he's going to feel raised. So accept the facts of what you're really all about. Because this is the way it is. That's what the Eibishter created. You can't run away from it. So, all right, I'm not going to argue, but the Yetzer Hara is very smart. I kind of argue. The Eibishter is the one that created, so he knows what it's about. The Yetzer Hara is very smart, but it's not easy. It's so hard. And therefore, because of everything, and because of their surrounding, and because of their darkness, and because of their nisyanis, and because of everything, it's mission impossible again. We're going back to that. You tell me everything, fine, I accept it, but... So there's a pasuk, Yikor v'lecha hadava mo'ed b'ficha l'vachal ha'sois. That Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, it's a pasuk which was written in Torah, and Torah is nitzchi. It's not only speaking to the Torah Midbar, but it's speaking to me in this year of 2050. Every single pasuk speaks to Anochi, Loshen Yochid. Speaks to every single pasuk in the Torah. Speaks to every single Jew as an individual. And when the Torah says, "Kikor v'lecha v'tova m'ay v'ficha l'vavcha l'asayisay," it's talking to me. And when I say it's I can't, I'm calling the Eibishter a liar. The Alter Rebbe says it's neged hachushalanu, but it seems to be against it. That's the question that the Alter Rebbe asked in Tanya. I don't seem to feel it. You're telling me, but I don't seem to feel it. Could be some people don't even have the dream. Some people have a dream to be born with a golden spoon in their mouth. And that everything should just come. But somehow the funny thing is that the biggest rate of suicide is by those people that are born with a golden spoon in their mouth. You can't find satisfaction in life. Because they're looking for something new, they just can't find it. Somehow, by most people, the vast majority, vast majority, have challenges. And nothing is easy. And there's challenges to put bread on the table and to meet the basic necessities and to pay, nowadays you pay tuition, etc. And to just do the basic things, etc. And you have to work hard and you have to sweat. So, Rahman al-Islam, there are people that just can't do it and finish. They become couch potatoes, and they don't do it. They're just too lazy to work. Just lazy to do something. And just like it is in Gashmias, the same thing is in Ruchnias. And the same thing is with what a person is, if he wants to really know what I'm about and what I can do and what I can accomplish. So from one side, you have to know it's nitzchi, it's korv ma'id. It's neged hachushalanu. It seems to be against my feeling, against what I seem to be experiencing. It's not easy for me to have kavanah in every word of davening. It's not easy for me to sit and learn for 2-3 hours every single day. It's not easy for me to do that, to go on shlichus and to go on mitzrayim and spend my spare time. Then I could be resting and when I could have catching my nap. It's not easy. Neged hachushalanu. So how are you telling me work is necessary? You have to realize that this is what you are about. And if you don't want to go to a psychiatrist to set you straight and to make you normal and to make you sane, because the complexity of my life and I don't seem to find satisfaction, because you can't find satisfaction until you reveal and do what the abilities that were given to you. And that is Torah Tziva Shema Yisrael. And that is to realize that I am Maaseh Yodeh Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Yispoel. And that is to realize that there is no limitations that can hold me back from fulfilling my mission. It looks hard. Work! And that's what Tanya is about, and that's what Chassidus is about, and that's what the Sichos of the Rebbe are about, and that was what the Yechidus by the Rebbe was about, and that was what all the letters of the Rebbe that he gave, that people have different problems, seem to have different problems, and the Rebbe showed in these letters how this is in the hands of every single person. That's the basic message in Tanya itself also. The Eibusher did not just command to now say, put you in the desert, now find your way out. The Torah is also a directive. Follow the directive. So you have to work, you have to be willing, you have to drive it. But over here, the Yetzer Hara comes with another one. Okay, maybe somebody that is a genius, or he has a heart of gold, or he has good midas, or he has this stimulus, this drive that that these are the people that just can't sit still until they accomplish what they do. And it takes certain characteristics. But I know myself. I heard everything, but it's just, I am a small person. And even if I do, even if I'll accomplish, how far will I get? I'll sit and learn. I know I tried. I sat and learned 4 hours, 5 hours. I did it for 3 weeks in a row, 3 months in a row. I forgot everything. I'm back to square one. I learned this Maimon Chassidus and davened with it. And it's a new challenge every single day. It just doesn't go. We would like that somehow I already reached a certain level. Okay, now let me work on the next level. But somehow I always seem to be falling back and have to work over again and to accomplish the first level. Every day again, every day again, there's Birchas HaShachar. Funny thing in davening. I mean, we're davening to the Eibusher, and the davening is so monotonous. Every single day, over and over again, the same thing. Because this has to shine through until it takes us through totally and totally. But still, but it doesn't. I seem to have to start all over again from the beginning to get excited, to understand the content of my Da'anis, understand the content of Baruch Atah Avaya, etc., etc. You're telling me I accept it, and when I do it, even when I do it, I don't seem to be getting anywhere. So maybe I don't really count. I'm an exception. Maybe this is talking about people that can really accomplish what they really do and do accomplish and see the success in their action. And seem to be growing and see the Hilchum, the Chai, the Chol seems to be going and seems to be working. It's not me. V'hina havai nitzavot, Moloi chol haaretz koideh, u'ma'abid olov, u'veichen klois v'levim oivdi k'roi. And this is after the original words in Tanya that the Eibusher was all over. Was maniach al yeinu tachteinu. The Eibusher who created everything. He's the boss of everything. He connected with everything. He has these high worlds of Atzilus, and he has Bria with all the Malachim, with the Srofim, and the Chayes HaKodesh, and with the Kodesh Kodesh, and the Baruch Kvod, and all the Shira, and the tenth and hundredth, and to no end of all these angels praising him, etc., etc. He he has the Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, David, Shlomo, he has all these neshamas. He has all the tzaddikim, he has the Rashbi, he has the Rebbeim, he has, where do I fit in? What importance do I have? So he makes a statement in Tanya, there's a whole Sichos in the Rebbe where he elaborates upon that. He's maniach, al yoinim, v'tachtoinim, that's as far as the angels are concerned. Miach malchus al Amo Yisrael, b'chlal. He cares about the Jewish people more than anything else. He leaves everything else. The only really care that the Eibush has is for Klal Yisrael. But now in Klal Yisrael itself, Amo Yisrael b'chlal, for all of b'frat, and upon me. So although he has all the tzaddikim of all the generations, although he has all those neshamas, starting with Avraham, or maybe even Adam and Noach also, they're not Katlakan. All of Befrat, on me. Me, this insignificant piece of nothing. Then how much can I already do? So the Alter Rebbe says, the way I have to look at it, that nothing else matters